In my last video, I talked about cat scares in movies, and I tried to find the origin of the cat scare, which I found in a poem from the 18th century by Robert Southey called God's Judgment on a Wicked Bishop. And I read a part of that poem there, and I said I will read the whole one in a separate video, which is this video that you are watching now. It's a bloody and horrifying and brilliant poem. It's only 80 lines long. But I thought you might enjoy it, and so I'm going to read it. The summer and autumn had been so wet that in winter the corn was growing yet. 'Twas a piteous sight to see all around the grain lie rotting on the ground. Every day the starving poor crowded around Bishop Hatto's door, for he had a plentiful last year's store, and all the neighbourhood could tell his granaries were furnished well. At last Bishop Hatto appointed a day to quiet the poor without delay. He bade them to his great barn repair, and they should have food for the winter there. Rejoice, such tidings good to hear. The poor folk flocked from far and near. The great barn was full, as it could hold, of women and children, young and old. Then when he saw it could hold no more, Bishop Hatto, he made fast the door. And while for mercy on Christ they call, he set fire to the barn and burnt them all. "I'faith, 'tis an excellent bonfire," he quaffed, "and the country is greatly obliged to me for ridding it in these times forlorn of rats that only consume the corn." Bishop Hatto describing the poor people as rats there. "Come in! We have a visitor!"
A visitor?
"A visitor? Come and say hello mid-poem. Quick!"
No, I don't want to.
You don't? You do!
Hello?
Come on.
I don't want to go on camera.
You don't want to go on camera?
Yeah, but I look gross.
You don't look gross.
Hello?
That's Rachel. Anyway, back to the poem. So then to his palace returned he, and he sat down to supper merrily, and he slept that night like an innocent man. But Bishop Hatto never slept again. In the morning, as he entered the hall, where his picture hung against the wall, a sweat like death all over him came, for the rats had eaten it out of the frame. As he looked, there came a man from his farm. He had a countenance white with alarm. "My lord, I opened your granaries this morn, and the rats had eaten all your corn." Another came running presently, and he was pale as pale could be. "Fly, my lord bishop, fly!" That sounds like a line from The Wizard of Oz, doesn't it? Quoth he, "10,000 rats are coming this way. The Lord forgive you for yesterday." "I'll go to my tower and rhyme," he replied. "'Tis the safest place in Germany. The walls are high and the shores are steep, and the stream is strong and the water deep. And aeroplanes fly above, disturbing my video and my poetry." It's not your standard poetry reading, is it? Well, there we go. Bishop Hatto fearfully hastened away, and he crossed the Rhine without delay, and reached his tower, and barred with care all the windows, doors, and loopholes there. He laid him down and closed his eyes, but soon a scream made him arise. He started and saw two eyes of flame on his pillow from whence the screaming came. He listened and looked. It was only a cat, and the bishop he grew more fearful at that, for she sat screaming mad with fear at the army of rats that were drawing near. Does this sound scary?
I'm terrified.
Oh my god. "For they have swum over the river deep, they've climbed the shores so steep, and up the tower their way is bent, to do the work for which they were sent. They are not to be told by the dozen or score, by thousands they come, and by myriads more. Such numbers had never been heard before, such judgment had never been witnessed of yore." Down on his knees the bishop fell, and faster his speeds did he tell, as louder and louder, drawing near, the gnawing of their teeth he could hear, and in at the windows and in at the door, and through the walls helter-skelter they pour, and down from the ceiling and up from the floor, from the right and the left and behind and afore. I'm doing acting.
That was really good.
I was meant to say before, but we'll go with afore. From within and without, from above and below, and all at once to the bishop they go. They have whetted their teeth against the stones, and now they pick the bishop's bones. They gnawed the flesh from every limb, for they were sent to do judgment on him. I read a poem.
Yeah.
Boom.
It's very scary.
That's what it feels like to be a beat poet in the 60s. Except they were rapping about... Rapping? Yeah, rapping about hipsters. I don't know. Whew. Okay. That was an exhausting poetry reading. I never knew this was an athletic sport. Sorry for the interruptions of the aeroplanes and my nonsense in between verses. But I hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, please do subscribe, and maybe I'll read more interesting things as I discover them in the future. Until then, tally ho, goodbye.